Hi, a very, very warm welcome to all the educators back there. We're back with the second part of discussion of the
Education, Innovation and Technology Summit. The topic of the same is changing EdTech trends, changing a role of the technology in education, delivery in higher education sector. For this amazing panel discussion, we have a plethora of speakers. Uh, you know,
you know,
People across the world have joined us. Let me not take much of your time and introduce you to our esteemed
our esteemed
panelists,
panelist,
uh,
uh,
Mr. Peter
Mr.
Harris,
Peter
who is
Harris, who
a
for
partnership at
partnership and
UTS,
UTS,
that is the
that is
University
the
of Technology, Sydney College, Australia. We have Professor H.S. Saini, MD of Guru Nanak Group of Institutions, a really big institution back there in Hyderabad. We have Mr. Rahul Singhi, who's the co-founder of Purnima University, Jaipur. And we also have the moderator, Shri Pankaj Jain, who is the Regional Director of India Subcontinent UTS, that is University of Technology, Sydney College, Australia. Welcome you all. This is such an amazing session because we're all driven towards technology and technology and higher education segment. I think it is no other sector, whether it is commerce, arts, or any other stream of education, is now shy of technology. Technology is an integral part of all the systems out there. So it becomes a really, really important topic to understand the perspective
the
of
perspective of
Indian
Indian
academics
academics
or
or
universities on how
universities
these are
on how they
doing.
are doing.
So I would now request Pankaj ji to please take care of the panel and please show us the way forward on how technology is impacting the higher education. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sandeep ji, and thanks to all the panelists for joining us. So, as Sandeep ji has given an introduction, I will not again waste time. I would like to start the session. You have seen the topic. It is changing tech trends, changing trend of technology in education delivery in the higher education sector. So, we have a esteemed panel, and I would like to start with Peter Harris from University of Technology Sydney UTS College in Australia. And Peter would like to present some slides. Over to you, Peter.
Thank you, Pankaj. Thank you, Deep, for the opportunity to speak at this wonderful conference you've organised, and also to the opportunity to be with this esteemed and very highly experienced panel. Just by way of background, I'm just going to share my screen for a few slides. Please let me know if you can see that. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so by way of background, I started out life with in business process re-engineering with Deloitte. I spent a lot of time in tech startups. I was there in the dot-com boom, so that might help you age how old I am. And in the last 10 years, I've been in higher education, in partnerships and product development. So I know a little bit about the space, but also the panel knows a lot more. So what I thought I'd do today is just share some thoughts on my experience and what I see in innovation and technology. But of course, the South Asia are the leaders in this space as well, so I will learn a lot from the discussion. Start off with a few quotes. The future is here, it's just unevenly distributed. It's a famous quote attributed to William Gibson, a futurist, I think it was in 1980. What this means is the future is around us now, and we look at these COVID times. What is interesting is COVID didn't invent Zoom or virtual meetings. COVID didn't invent online learning. It certainly didn't invent AI. So those future skills are all around. What the pandemic has done is accelerated that for us. So I think that's a lesson for us to look, when we look at innovation, what's there already for us to tap into. Another quote is from Justin Trudeau, the Canadian Prime Minister. The pace of change has never been this fast and will never be this slow again. He said that in 2018 at Davos, and it holds today. So the one takeaway as we look at innovation and what's changing for the higher education sector is that the change will never be this slow again. And finally, Clay Christensen is Harvard Business School. I had the honour of studying a course with Clay. He's the father of disruptive innovation. So anything you want to know about what's going to disrupt by way of innovation, Clay Christensen is the man. And the secret to winning the innovation game lies in understanding what causes customers to make choices to achieve progress. The phrase to this is called the job to be done. So particularly in the university sector, we must always consider what is the job to be done for the students. It's not the degree or the award, but what are we trying to do for their career and their future prospects. So it's really important to keep those considerations in mind. So I think this is a watershed moment for the university sector. The following trends, accelerated by COVID, will shape the future of higher education and its legacy models of learning and teaching. 5 trends I'll just touch on briefly, and the panelists can expand on with their wealth of knowledge. Borderless education, access to universities, technology and online EdTech, the rise of third parties and alternate legacy systems, and industry and job readiness. Now, EdTech and technology is all through this. Technology is not the disruptor. It's the humans and the innovators in it. Technology is the enabler. Borderless education, one of the real winners out of COVID, and I really acknowledge the challenges that everyone in South Asia has endured and continue to endure through the pandemic. One of the real winners is the global classroom. Now we can have teachers and students connecting regardless of their location. And it was always something that was envisaged, but now it is really a common practice. Students are going to be sourced globally across age groups, across experiences. There's going to be inbound internationals, there's going to be offshore internationals, local domestics and regional domestic, from high school pathways to the working population. Some students will only be able to access via remote or online means. So, the whole idea of borderless education is really come to the fore. Another area is access to university, and again, driven by technology. In the international space, international education space, the agents are being really impacted by aggregators and by technology and software as a service. I won't spend too much time on this. There was a very, very good webinar 2 weeks back by the PI, if you get a chance to check that out. It goes through the whole disruption to the student recruitment funnel and sales life cycle. You've got direct applications, and you've got a number of services being bundled up by third parties. I'll talk about that a little bit later. The other area is entry requirements. I see a shift away from the traditional high-stakes tests, one-off tests. The universities over time will shed them and look at more intangibles, commitment and values and other services will be considered to really assess the student capability and what the university role is to deliver for them in the future. Technology and online learning. Online learning is here to stay. Government and government agencies are recognising it and will continue to recognise it more. And so it really will just become commonplace. There's going to be further adoption to cloud-based learning and the improvement of AI. We've just touched the surface with AI. I was in a conference last week about the EdTech investment in China. I think it was $16 billion. And a lot of that is in AI-driven K-12 technologies and tutoring for high school students. An amazing space with incredible potential. I think the next thing you will see a two-tiered system. General education is going to be driven by online access, and there still is a role, of course, for premium campus-based education. And at the University of Technology in Sydney, we've got one of the most amazing campuses in the world, and so we hope that will be the case for some time to come. But certainly there will be 2 tiers coming, you'll see, into the future. EdTech. EdTech's the translation of learning and teaching from the traditional form to digital, but now it covers all aspects of student education, from recruitment software, conversion and enrollment, e-learning, AI-powered tutoring, pastoral social well-being, that social engagement, which we've always seen as being a face-to-face or campus-based activity for the cohorts. Now there's ways to deliver on that digitally, particularly for the digital natives that are the next generation of students and learners. Alumni interaction, again, there's technology driving and improving this across the entire student experience. So enterprises may offer one or some or bundle up some of these. And what you're seeing now is the tech players, particularly the large funding that's coming into the space, will look to have presence across the entire range of touch points of the student life cycle and student experience. So they'll be looking to build moats so they can protect their investment for others to enter the market. So the more of those touch points they have and they can control digitally and provide, the stronger their business opportunity. The rise of third parties and alternates to legacy education systems. And I know the panelists will be dealing with this, I'm sure, but a lot of EdTech is looking at the EdUniversity back office because the EdTech providers, that's their front office. So they'll be replacing operations, recruitment, even into learning design. I think we'll see third parties stepping into the divide between teaching and content creation. And teachers will become learning coaches, even provided by third-party providers. Universities will then be really focusing on quality assurance, approval, validation, and increased research behind the content, which is so important, and that's where they add the most value. And finally, industry and job readiness. Again, this is not a new thing that's come out of COVID or the pandemic. It's just been fast-tracked and amplified. But universities were increasingly involved in enterprise learning, in entrepreneurship, in industry-relevant courses, short courses, micro-credentialing. All of those empowered by and supported by EdTech, the technology provider. So a quick snapshot of some of the trends and drivers I see playing out in the international higher education space and certainly the Australian higher education space. And I welcome the discussion from the panelists. So 3 takeaways. I'll stop sharing. Three takeaways. The future is here now. The pace of change will never be this slow again. And what is the job to be done for the students and the learners of the future? Thank you. Over to you, Pankaj.
Pankaj, you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. So thanks,
Peter, for the slides.
Very useful to
set the.
So I think the context has been set. So what I'll do is I'll ask Rahul Singhvi ji to please share some views on where do you think EdTech is headed, what are the challenges, what are you trying to do at your university, and how the future looks like, the new NEP and things coming into place.
Well, I think Peter has set the context for everyone, and he has given a quick snapshot of what is happening around the world. And Peter, things that you have mentioned in your presentations are very much in sync with what is happening in the country right now, particularly in India. The change is happening very rapidly, and as you said, this would not slow down. This will definitely maintain the momentum, and I think this is an opportunity for all of us to sail the boat and move in the right direction. At the same time, there are a lot of challenges in the EdTech domain where offline classrooms are still preferred by students as compared to the online thing. So there has to be a balance, in my view, of both the face-to-face learning as well as the online teaching and learning processes. As far as the technology is concerned and the way that we have adopted or we are trying to adopt is basically do or die strategy. I mean, whenever we try to adopt new things, we have to leave behind the old legacy, and we have to, set a timeline and a deadline to achieve, adoption. Like for example, we at at Purnima University and Purnima Group in Jaipur, we were earlier. So as soon as the pandemic started, most of us switched to Zoom, and we were already using Zoom from 2019. We were already having a lot of our faculty online teaching happening because there were a lot of faculty members from other parts of the country who were teaching our students. So we were already using Zoom, and at that point of time when the lockdown happened and we were stuck at home, we immediately switched to Zoom and Google Meet, and slowly and steadily we we explored Microsoft Teams, which was like a one-stop solution for all of us. I mean, in terms of the LMS and in terms of the flexibility that we have in MS Teams. So I think by the end of the last year, that is December 2020, we made up our minds to switch to MS Teams, and we gave a lot of trainings, and we I would say wasted a lot of time in training in things which were not so difficult. And then came January, new session was about to begin, and then we still were not achieving the 100% adoption on Microsoft Teams. So as I said, do or die situation. I told all the faculty members, from tomorrow Google is illegal at Purnima, and anybody using it would face the consequences. And I think within a week we switched to MS Teams. So sometimes it is motivation, sometimes it is a little harsh attitude that we need to have to adopt, and I would say to change ourselves. And from past 6 months we are using Microsoft Teams, and then came March and April, and we were still struggling with a lot of administrative issues, and a lot of things were not clear. So then we decided to switch off WhatsApp also. So I took the leadership, I took the charge, and I told that, okay, I'm exiting from all the WhatsApp groups of colleges, be it faculty members, be it leadership. And we deleted all the WhatsApp groups, and we immediately moved to Microsoft Teams. We took all our chat groups on Microsoft Teams. And I told that I will not converse with anyone on WhatsApp. And then we did a performance review processes, and in the staff appraisal process that usually happens in May and June, I pushed all the faculty members to use email and Microsoft Teams only, and not use WhatsApp for any other communication, even if it is with the students, even if it is sort of an emergency. Because I told that in case of emergency, if we use the new technology, then only it will be used. Pandemic was an emergency, and hence everybody switched to online teaching. Online teaching was there from past 5 years, I would say, but nobody, or not many of them, were using it. But then came the emergency, and everybody was forced to use it. So sometimes it is motivation, and sometimes it is sheer push behind the back, that and in India, I think most of us have they give example that if you want to swim, don't just go for training, just jump into the river and you will automatically learn swimming. So I think EdTech is one thing which is for very few is motivation, but most of us it is a push. If I talk about future, and if I talk about technology adoption, I'm sure everyone has learned a lesson, and now I'm sure people will understand that yes, technology adoption is good, but yes, there will be a lot of challenges, and I think it is upon the leaders, it is upon the the management of various organization, that they need to change the mindset first, and if they change the mindset, automatically the whole organization would align themselves. So with that, I again thank all of you for giving me this opportunity. And before beginning this session also, I was struggling with a place where I could have my peace. I changed almost 5 places, because at some places there were family members, at some places my daughter's classes was going on. So with EdTech, we also need to learn about the decorum and the environment. I think Peter's background and place is amazing, and I mean, I really appreciate all of you to give us some time and speak our heart out. And I'm sure the future of the country as well as the world is beautiful in terms of learning and development. We have a lot of opportunities, and most of the things are available free of cost. If what somebody wants to learn, if he has the urge to learn, then I don't think there are challenges in finding opportunities. There are ample of opportunities. We just need to explore the right one. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Rahulji. Thanks for your inputs and ideas. I think a lot of things have changed over COVID.
Things
We
have
have
changed
learned
over COVID.
everything has
We
evolved.
have learned everything has evolved.
Innovation has taught us a lot of
Innovation has
things,
taught us a
how
lot
to
of
do
things,
things.
how to do things.
Now, I would like to invite
Now,
Professor
I would
H.S.
like to
Sini
invite Professor H.S. Seni
to speak a few
to
words
speak a few
about how
words
you
about how you
think about
think
EdTech
about
is coming in into
tech is
South
coming in
India,
into South
Hyderabad,
India,
in your
Hyderabad,
institution,
in your
and the
institution,
country across.
with the country across.
हरविंदर जी आपकी आवाज योर वॉइस इज
हरविंदर जी, आपकी आवाज, your voice is
नो आई डोंट थिंक सो आई थिंक
Can you
वील
listen
कीप
me
no,
now?
I don't think so. I think we'll keep ourselves.
Can you listen me now?
Yeah, better, sir,
Yeah,
better,
better, sir, better, better.
Should I reconnect or?
No, that's fine. Now we
No,
can hear
that's
you.
fine. Now we can hear you.
Better. Okay. I will catch my mobile and keep it near my face. So namaskar everyone. Yes, I'm from Hyderabad. We here are running a couple of engineering institutions and one dental institute, and we have pharmacy college and management college also. Around 10,000 students we have. Students basically are from different backgrounds. Most of the students are maybe 50% are from the rural areas. So actually today I will be focusing on actually what we have learned through during this pandemic, what difficulties we have faced, and what benefits we are reaping now. Okay, as uh, Professor mentioned, Professor Pankaj Jain mentioned that yes, there are benefits also. When you are in a crisis, you find out many solutions, and those solutions can be useful in later on. We are having students from the diversified backgrounds, and the teachers from the diversified background. They are from rural areas, from northeast. There are students from other countries also. With such kind of population, when all of a sudden lockdown was declared last year, we were halfway in the semester. We have more than 2,000 students staying at the campus or in the surrounding areas in the PG accommodations. So all of them had to go to their native places. And after 15 days, we started thinking about how to run the classes, how to keep them engaged, because once opens up, or during this period also, lockdown period also, they should not be sitting idle. The time should not be wasted, and we should not be left behind. Especially the final year students who are waiting to complete their courses and join various companies. They were already selected. Many of them had got the jobs also. They wanted to join the corporates, and IT companies especially were working online. So they were asking us, they were approaching us that they should join. Students should join, and students were they could not complete the semester. And I will be focusing mostly on the difficulties which we faced in the beginning to come online. Since students are from the remote rural areas, so connectivity was also one of the major issues. And the second issue, we have students from the poor backgrounds who were sponsored by the government, who came on scholarship. They didn't have much money. So there are cases where students didn't have even the smartphone, students didn't have even the a laptop with them to connect. And then second problem which they were facing was the connectivity in the rural areas. Okay. This was one of the very serious issues which we slowly addressed. And how we addressed it, then I will come. If you ask me later on after I finish, then I can explain. Then transfer of the system from offline, from the classroom based teaching, we had to transfer to the online. Look at some teachers who are say very traditional, who used to teach on board. They do not use presentations. They use rarely. And if once they are asked to make a presentation, to design a presentation, they spend hours on preparing for the presentation. Another thing was the mathematical problem, solving all the mathematical problems. We are more into engineering. We have 85%, 80% students belonging from engineering background only. Lot of derivations, drawings, etc. were involved. So that was major issue, how to put them into the presentation. Some of the derivation students learn better uh, if the teacher is teaching on the board with a pen. So this was also one of the issues. Then teachers' mindset. Teachers have good amount of knowledge. They read books and they come to the classroom with some notes and some few presentations. Remaining work they do on the spot. They will teach on the board. Now, in this case, in case of online, they have to well prepare in advance. There's a lot of typing work they require, and teachers also need to have. They must be having those tools. They should be savvy with the IT and PPT, making presentations. They should have been having the laptops in their houses. Without laptop, making presentation is not possible. And coming to the office was not possible because of the lockdown. So transfer from the traditional system, offline classroom teaching to the online was a really difficult experience. Then the other thing was labs in our dental sciences. See, our students learn extractions, they do operations. Then these things are done in the lab only on the actual patients or on the dummies. So this was not becoming possible. At the same time, in the engineering side, like in mechanical engineering, civil engineering, if you're making them how to make a brick or how to prepare a beam, or they do experiment, they work on the machines, working on the machines in engineering, core engineering branches like mechanical engineering and in civil engineering, electrical engineering, was not possible to be taught online. So that was another big difficulty to conducting of labs over it. Then monitoring of the students. We adopted various tools as a gentleman from the Purnima University mentioned, Mr. Rahul Singh. He very well said that teachers were used to of using various tools, different tools. So after running a couple of weeks, we asked them to switch over to only Google Meet, to one tool. Firstly, it was available free for all of us. Secondly, it has a LMS also. So LMS was integrated with the Google Classmate as a platform. This worked wonderfully well. So most of the problems got solved. Many of the problems got solved. I don't say most of them. Many of the problems got solved. Monitoring became easy, and some of the problems could not be solved. Like students who were in the rural areas, remote areas, they were not having tools and connectivity. Those problems still remained. But after a couple of weeks, the things became streamlined for those students who were staying in the areas where connectivity was good and they were having their own tools. They were having their own laptop. At least they were having a smartphone. And so this is how we transferred from the traditional system to the online system. Now, even today, few of the issues are unresolved. Still, like we could not conduct the labs so far properly. But in case of computer science, IT, and partly in electronics, we could conduct online practicals, online labs also, because those are software-based labs. But in pharmacy, like titrations are done and they deal with the chemicals, so we could not. But we tried to reduce the gap. We recorded so many, a good number of videos, demonstrations, demonstration on the machines, demonstration of the various titrations and practicals. Other demonstrations we recorded, our teachers recorded. Many of the teachers were very camera shy. They were not wanting to come forward and record their videos. So we trained them initially and then asked them to come in front of the camera and do the demonstration with the help of a couple of their colleagues. And those recordings have been sent to the students. Students who were into the remote areas, we interacted with them one by one. We made a system like that and tried to send them the material, the pre-recorded videos, or recordings of the classroom sessions, so that they can also learn through WhatsApp. The WhatsApp helped us a lot. Emails frequent emails we have given to them. Okay, so some of the issues are still unresolved, like university examinations. Though we are autonomous, but we are part of the JNTU University. It's a huge university, so they want to conduct the exams offline. So now again the lockdown has opened. Last time during when the lockdown was opened in the month of September, we could conduct some of the classes, some of the revisions. We could conduct some of the labs, and we could conduct offline exams. Now again we are going for offline examinations. And but I feel that medical science and pharmacy and engineering, the core engineering department are the major sufferers, where many issues related to the labs could not be solved. Students should be having the hands-on experience in various technologies or whatever they are going to learn in the labs. They should be having the experience. That experience they are missing. But there are some benefits also. I come to the benefits. Acceptability of online education has increased. Now students are mentally prepared, parents are mentally prepared, even we are mentally prepared that even if it prolongs, we will continue the teaching, we will continue the classes. At least with efficiency of 80%, we will not be able to do labs with the same efficiency. Maybe after some gaps, after a couple of months, we call them and we could finish their labs also. Yes, something we have to do, but acceptable definitely of the IT and tools, various tools for online teaching has increased, and power of IT really has proved in the past. Yes, yes, we can do a lot with information technology as far the education is concerned. Also, I believe one day, as Mr. Pankaj also said, or Mr. Rahul also said, yes, we will be free of COVID and we will be free like we were before. We are very optimistic about it. That time, even if we go for offline classes, we go for classroom-based teaching, I will still go for a part teaching through online mode only. Maybe I will reduce number of hours of my students at the campus. In our university, maybe we will reduce the number of sessions, okay, or number of days. And we will supplement the teaching with the help of the online teaching. Okay, this will definitely, and one more benefit we have reaped. Experts are available all over the globe. Without physically moving them to our campus, we can request them to give a lecture from maybe from Sydney or any other place or any other country, and students receive them well because they have accepted online teaching. Okay, so with this I finish my this short speech. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, and I wish you good day. In case you have any questions, please come forward. Thank you.
Yes. So please stay
So
online.
please stay online. Still having.
Still having.
Still having.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Saini.
Sydney.
As even in the morning
session,
we had the inaugural session, and obviously we had people from AICT, Minister of Education from Maharashtra, and Telangana Collegiate Naveen Mittalji also. So obviously the stress, like the future looks like it will be blended learning. Even UGC has said that we will give option of 40% online teaching. So I think after the COVID is gone, hopefully we should have some online teaching. And you have very detailed given us a layman's explanation of what the actual problem was. So I think Peter sitting in Sydney would have realized what are the actual problems in India, what is the rural problems in India. Like sitting in developed countries like Australia, US, UK, the internet is good, everything is fine. But in India, like the words you said, for example, the teachers were shy to come on camera is a very big thing. I also never thought, but since you have touched that point, it is a very good point. So thank you for giving a lot of insights, and we will take it further. What I'll do is I'll ask Peter that since you're in Australia and you are part of the UTS college, how have you taken the blended learning and the online learning across, like what do you think across Australia and across UTS college in the last 1.5 years?
Thank you, Pankaj. And I think like the other speakers have mentioned, it was very much a remote and emergency move to online learning. So we can't compare that experience to what it's going to be like going forward. And also to Dr. Singh Sani's point, some parts of it you just simply can't replace. The campus, but the practicums, the lab-based work. I think all universities around the world have done an amazing job to shift so quickly and to compensate for that. And I think going forward, we're going to find what bits work best online and what bits really work best face-to-face. Equally, I think we're taking a different view of what face-to-face will be. So in the past, we thought we'll bring them to our campus, but I think there's going to be a much more world view about we can access campuses in country. For our Indian students particularly, they can stay at home and access campuses and other labs. So I think whilst we moved very quickly, like everyone else did, I think we've learned real lessons about what bits are best delivered in a digital format, and our view of that certainly expanded. But at the same time, what bits still needed that face-to-face and connection and physical lab-based work. I wouldn't like to go to a dentist who hasn't actually ever done a real extraction. I think it'd be very important if they've ever had a patient in front of them. So I think our lessons have been very much the same as India. And a very good point raised about access, technology, access to internet, access to devices. I think we've really got to keep that in mind, because we don't want to have a two-paced recovery or a two-paced future where those with access to everything will get even further ahead, and those that are struggling to get access will be negatively impacted.
Like Peter, just to expand, how have you felt, like just as Professor Seni said, that teachers were reluctant to come on camera, teachers were not happy, they were not PowerPoint friendly. So did you had the similar problems in Australia or in your college?
Absolutely, Pankaj. Yes, I think a lot of our teachers weren't as technology enabled as we would have liked. Our material wasn't particularly ready for online lectures, and again, I think it was a bit of push and a bit of pull to get those teachers up to speed, and a lot of support. They're very committed, of course. Our teachers, our lecturers, just like the panelists as well, incredibly committed to student success, but they were a bit fearful, a bit uncertain of the change. But I think they've migrated it quite well. The student feedback, I think, is consistent around the world. That students haven't, have liked some bits about online, but there's bits they've found missing. And equally, that I think they've found some teachers have really adapted well, and some teachers have been slower to pick up the skills necessary. But I think overall a really positive outcome, but really there's still a lot of work to do.
Thanks, Peter, for your views. Rahulji, what do you think, like going 1 year or 2 years further down, as Peter said and Professor Seni also said, that we might have a mixed online and face-to-face model. But what do you think? Will the teachers like this online sort of thing? Where do we go further next 2 years down the line?
Well, I think the conventional system will prevail. So I don't think our regular teachers who are more used to the offline teaching would, transfer them to unmute. Yeah, Harvinderji, you need to unmute. So yeah, so the voice was actually echoing. That's why I got stuck. So I think that both things will prevail in its own space. There will be two separate set of teachers that I see in future. One who would follow the chalk and talk method, one who would be completely online. The completely online kind of faculty members will not just be stuck to one institution, but they will have their own YouTube channels. They will maybe enroll themselves, impanel themselves in Coursera. They would be more active in, because they will have all the tools to transform themselves. They will make money from the online teaching only. And then there will be a separate set of teachers who would be completely offline, who would love the chalk and talk method, and they will use this online tool only to be a support system, and will not be a primary source of teaching for an offline teacher, for a teacher who's teaching in an offline manner. So I see in future there will be two set of people, and today also I feel that people who are more comfortable in chalk and talk and face to face delivery are facing difficulties, and people who have transformed themselves and who have, like I, in my organization, let's say there are 200 teachers. Out of 200, there are only 20 teachers who have their YouTube channel of their own, and some of them have followers and subscribers more than what Purnima group as a subscriber have. So probably they will outshine, the institution themselves, and they would not be accessible to only one institution, but they will have their wings spread across all the institution, not just limited to one state or one country, but be a. So I have two of my faculty members. They're mathematics faculty member, and they're teaching some universities in Brazil also. And they said, sir, we don't want to come as a regular faculty. We want to come up now as a visiting faculty. We will just come to Purnima online lectures, take the lectures, and probably we will work with more 5 institutions. So this hybrid model will prevail, and of course the advantage is with people who manages both, who are comfortable in both the online as well as the offline manner. There'll be like superpowers of the education domain, which can fit in every role. So I think this model will prevail, and the mixing will seldom happen. It will not very frequent. People will be identified as, like, okay, these 5 professors are the best in class, but these 2 professors are best in online teaching. That's how things will go.
Thank you, Rahulji, for your views. Like besides, like you and Professor Saini also said that we have gone to Google Meet, we have gone to MS Teams. But do you think the bigger picture of EdTech also coming into India, like the way things are going abroad in Australia, US, Canada, we are using EdTech platforms for besides online teaching for a lot of other things. Are we thinking in that terms also? Are we looking at higher EdTech to be used in on teaching also besides the MS Teams and Google Meet only?
Yes, definitely. I mean, those things are very important because those like edtech companies like Coursera, Udemy, Upgrad, all of these companies have a solid e-material available with them. They have a huge repository of amazing lectures, amazing faculty members, and as I said, probably in times to come, the universities will be associated to these edtech companies for their online programs, whereas the offline programs will run in a chalk and talk method. So instead of universities having their own online programs or having their own set of teachers, definitely the options and the variety of online things will be higher if we coordinate and if we empanel the edtech companies like Coursera and Upgrad. I mean, and even for the students, the choices will be more. I mean, if he wants to take a particular lecture by an Indian faculty or from a foreign faculty, he will have the choice. And I think the institutions will have to, as a service provider, we consider ourselves as a service provider. Even though we are a factory of, making a raw material of a student and making him to a finished product. So we consider ourselves into manufacturing and service both. So as a service provider, we will need to cater to the students. We will need to understand what are their requirements, and we need to give them, lot of options to explore themselves. Currently in India, there is a limitation. The government considers, like for example, we have institutions which are affiliated to AICT and approved by AICT also, and we have a private university also. So in private university, we have given the liberty of pursuing courses from private edtech companies like Coursera, and we will consider them as a MOOC program, and we will give them credits. But in an affiliated system where there is a government regulation, the government says that only NPTEL and SWAYAM credits would be, accepted. So in that system, even though the students are studying in a private college, but they cannot take up courses in Coursera. I mean, even if they take, they will have no advantage because If you do a NPTEL and a SWAYAM course, a student will definitely get a BTech honors degree instead of just a BTech degree. So I think that part, the government is somewhat over regulating the private institutions, and I think in future, if these regulation needs to be more relaxed to ensure that the students are moving towards the online way of learning.
Thank you, Raulji. Good points about AICT. Even in the morning session, we had in the inaugural Lieutenant Colonel Kailash Bansal from AICT, who is the director. He talked about SWAYAM, that in SWAYAM we have recently increased the online content to 40%, which was lower earlier. So what you are saying is right, that AICT is still regulating it, but I think there is a move in the new education policy to open the things. It will take time. The implementation is slow, but things are like what I understood in the morning session, two sessions is the NEP is also has come education policy after 38 dark years. So with the new Modi government coming in, things are moving. The new NEP also has said that we will allow foreign universities to come in. You can do tabs with QS top 100 universities, and there are four types of tab which have been mentioned in the NEP 2020. So I think the government is opening up. We have to. It takes time in India to happen things, but it will happen. I think the new NEP policy has a lot of new points. I think you will appreciate. And I would like to ask Professor Seni that where do you think like this edtech will help students? Like you touched about rural areas, sort of thing, and how do you think going beyond 3 years, 5 years? How will this be captured like rural students, because 70% of our population still lives in villages? So how will edtech help it?
Yeah, it's an interesting and difficult question also, because see, first of all, let me repeat that some students who have come to us during the pandemic, during the lockdown, when we were wanting to deliver them online classes, they even didn't have the smartphones and this thing, laptops, and they said we don't have money to buy all this. First of all, so if we are wanting to reach to those people who can't even afford such kind of gadgets, and but they are on scholarship, they are good brains. We want to educate them. We want to teach them engineering, and also we want them to come to the campus. Now you're talking of edtech. Yes, we have found that if I mentioned that pre-recorded lectures and demonstrations, etc., if we are able to send them and they are able to see those, and they can cope up with that. If connectivity is not there, the real-time connectivity is not available, even then uh, they can they can attend the classes on those particular topics because they're pre-recorded. And the edtech companies like Coursera, etc., definitely they gave a freedom for a learner to learn anytime. A learner can come for a couple of days to a place where he has accessibility. He or she has accessibility, and definitely, and if you adopt and go for a liberalization, and my university here in Hyderabad, they have allowed the Coursera we are counting. So if we gave a percentage of it, that we just say 10% or 15% or 20% of the courses can be done offline like this, and then student can write examination or they can bring a certificate which can be counted as such. And this is being done mostly in some of the cases, but we have to open it up more so that the students who can't afford or who are not able to attend real-time classes, and even beyond 4 years, like in my country it's very rigid that we are like we are producing students in batches. A student can't plan that I have to complete a degree in 6 years. Somebody is a slow learner. You want to plan an engineering degree instead of 4 years, you want to finish in 6 years. Or at the same time, you want to do a job also. You want to earn while learning. We have to, give a we have to opt a liberal approach. A student can opt for, but here in our case, they have to finish in 4 years. If they are not finishing, then they're bad students. But if student decides in the beginning itself, and these kind of corporates or these kind of uh, sports system like Coursera, and they are here to help them. Okay, and most of the things are free also, and definitely this is going to contribute in the future, and this is how we have to proceed. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Professor Seni. Taking it forward, like good points. So, Professor Seni, I don't know, understand that you cater to a lot of rural students. So, technology is still a problem. Though Mr. Ambani and Sunil Mittalji from Airtel are trying to do a lot of things, bring in 5G, but still, I think 5G is still limited to the top cities. But whether it reaches a smaller village in of Hyderabad or outskirts of Hyderabad, that is important. But
Sir,
taking it
sir, we
forward,
are sir, we are a country where you can see a horse cart on the road also, a Mercedes also, and the costliest car also on the same road.
that is true. Right. Peter, I would like to take it further. What do you think? Like you talked about building industry links into student link and doing courses together. How does EdTech, do you think, will fit in into the industry academic type also somewhere?
Good point. Good question, Pankaj. And I just like to touch on a point that Rahul mentioned as well. I think it's student choice. We don't like to talk of them as a customer, but it's a discretionary spend, and the students will choose. So the more options and more flexibility that universities and in turn governments can provide, and to recognise the different student career paths and study paths. It's going to be important. Look, I think EdTech's always, technology is the enabler. It'll allow students to connect more to industry. Things like in the past, internships have been quite limited and not scalable. I think with technology, there's a range of options to give students access to work-like activities, work practice-like activities, and equally some of these. This new way of learning and this new way of interacting in these virtual classrooms and virtual webinars we're in, that is the future of work as well. So I think students are picking up work-ready skills by doing that. So I think, technology will enable more access, more industry engagement. It'll be able to help universities particularly look how they can scale some of that. When in the past it was quite a limited and difficult to achieve that for large numbers of students.
Thanks, Peter. Thanks, Peter. Good point. Rahulji, how do you think our like the traditional way of our tie-up with industry has been like we invite an engineering colleges for them to be guest faculty, we ask them to do help in our placement. But do you think like as per the new NEP policy also there is talk that there should be 6 months internship, 1 year internship, you can take break years, you can go abroad to do one credits and credits can be transferred. Do you think students would like to do this and can they afford to go out and do credit transfer sort of thing?
I think so. It depends on state to state and city to city. Just to give an example, Rajasthan is a very conservative state. Punjab is not so conservative. Punjab, everyone wants to move out. Rajasthan, businesses, parents want to push their children to family businesses which are in particular region. Similarly, if you go to Gujarat, students would either want to go out of the country or stay in the state. So there are a lot of cultural impact on study abroad and semester abroad or internship kind of thing. Particularly study abroad, if I say. If I talk about the industry association and the credit transfer association, I think in past 2-3 years it is more liberal. Industries are now looking at private institutions at partners and not as just a placement or a student provider. So we have a lot of industries who are coming to us and who say that we want to train the student right from the first year. Earlier, companies were coming only at the final year to pick the students. Now they want a student to be trained for them right from the first year, and they want to give them some projects so that they can assess the student while they are studying and handpick only those who complete, those particular tasks which are provided to him or her in the 4 years or 3 years of the undergraduation. So I think now industries are more open for institution or academic collaboration, because industry now wants fresh talent. India being one of the youngest countries of the world, they are looking at young talent at the young age so that they can, grow faster. Uh, if I talk about my organization, when I joined in 2011-12, the average age, or the uh, average age of persons employed at Purnima was somewhere around 46 years old. Now it is 36. We have the average age of our employees is 36 years, which means that, and in terms of number of admissions or number of students coming to Purnima, we have increased. So at one place where we have reduced the average age, but still we were able to take more students in our organization, because we feel that for moving faster, or for moving at a higher pace, you need to have some young people in the teams also. So this has been our experience of about the students and about the industry collaborations. At the same time, definitely industries are, like big industries, they mostly associate themselves with government organizations, but I think private institutions should be more vernacular and should look what is near them and cater to the local needs, rather than, of course we prepare every student for global competitions, but initial, I think, 1 or 2 years after the graduation, the students are pushed to the local regions and the place where they are actually studying, or at the max to the metro cities. My training and placement team members, they focus on big companies which are locally based, and we try to resolve problems of those big companies, because those big companies who are locally based have have generally, they face a issue of having, skilled manpower and good talent. So we try to, engage them from the first year. We try to bring their HR managers into our campus, talk to the students right in the first year. We give them, we also play, we have a every year we used to play a game called scavenger hunt, in which we used to take at least 100 of our students. We used to ask them to prepare their CVs, at least 50 copies of CVs of one person, and we used to leave them to an industrial area at point A, which is, let's say, the entry of the industrial area. And we told them, okay, then we'll meet you after 3 hours at point B, which is like an exit gate of that particular industrial area. And you should be able to, your task is that you should be able to collect the cards, visiting cards of the owners, and give their CV in response. So the highest number of cards achieved or brought by a student will be given bonus marks in, let's say, their activities. So we used to do these kind of activities in which their exposure towards the industry. And believe me, I think in India there is no limitation of jobs. There are ample of jobs available if one wants to find it, and if one is eager to, do something about his or her career. There are ample of opportunities. I don't see that, any problem of unemployedness if one is a skilled student, if one student is open for change, and if one wants to, at least have the will to start, then there are ample of opportunities which he or she can take.
Thank you, Rahulji. Just I would like to maybe close in the next 5 minutes. So, like a quick 1 minute or 2 minute closing remarks by all of the panelists. So, Rahul, just to add, like what you said about scavenger hunt and all, I remember my engineering days in '92 when I was placed in my first company in Tata Telecom in Bombay. My boss, who was a South Indian chap, he used to tell us that you have to collect every day in Bombay 15 visiting cards, and if you don't come with 15 visiting cards in sales job, you don't come to office tomorrow. So that was a target given to us, and it was very tough. You know, in Bombay, you have high-rise buildings of 20, 30 floors, and the lifts only go up; they don't come down. So one of the toughest job I did in the first year of my sales career. So I remember your scavenger hunt. I can understand how difficult it will be for students.
And I
So
think
as I
that
said,
has
I will.
laid the foundation for your career. That must have laid the foundation of your career, and I'm 200% sure that your foundation was rock solid if you have completed that task.
Yeah, that was 28 years back. So thanks, Rahulji. I would like to just quickly 1 minute from each of you. What do you think, or what was the summary of our discussion today? So over to Peter for 1 minute short talk. I know for Peter it's very late for you. I think it's
No, it's fine.
6:30 p.m. in.
Thank you again, and I've learned so much from the other panelists as well. I think some really good points. Technology online is going to be having an increasing role. Face to face is still so important. The problems, the big wicked problems that the world's facing, and our graduates are going to look to solve, are going to be solved through deep human connection. So now some of that deep human connection we've always got on a campus, but some of it will be able to get digitally, but still it's really important that face-to-face component will be there. And to Dr. Sidney's point, I think it's really important for universities and the higher education sector to make sure that when these developments come, that we make sure it is as evenly distributed as we can. And that's where India and the world will benefit so much if we can bring as many people along to benefit from these advances, and be recognise the limitations that some have, that the fortunate ones don't. So two very good points. It's going to be compartmentalised, what's best done digitally, what's best done face to face, and then the EdTech providers will fill in the gaps for us.
I was just saying that it must be very late for you, 6:30 p.m. on Sydney on a Saturday evening. So thanks for being with us. So I told, when I was talking to Sandeep, I said it will be very late for Peter. Let's see if he agrees or not. So
My football
over to
team's
Rahulji.
playing. So.
Over to Rahulji for a quick 1 minute summary.
So if I want to summarize, I would summarize it with two lines. First, it's an English quote, where we say that where there's a will, there's a way. So if we are wanting to change, there will be the way automatically created for us. So if there is a will, there's a way. The second quote is a Hindi quote, which says that "Kaal kare so aaj kare so ab, पल में परलय होगी बहुरी करेगा कब." So Peter, for you to understand, it means that whatever you want to do tomorrow, do it today, and whatever you want to do today, do it now. Because if the world is going to end, then you will not have any option to complete the task. So whatever you want to do tomorrow, do it today. Whatever you want to do today, do it now. And I think the pandemic is the biggest example and the biggest in front of us. So just these two lines, I follow these two lines very religiously and very honestly, and it has helped me a lot.
Thank you, Rahulji. Pleasure. Good two lines. Good to summary. Peter should be understanding that in seminars in India we speak such lines a lot of times. Over to Professor Seni sir. Just 1 minute. We are just winding up. 1 minute of your views, final views.
Sure. I believe we have learned a lot in last 1.5 years, and from whatever we have learned, we need to consolidate. We need to go ahead with the more effective systems in a more effective way, and we have understood that there is no necessity of always being physically present, and technology need to be more adaptive, and it need to be more strong and available to all, so that in coming times, in such situations we should be very comfortable to change our. So it was an opportunity for all of us to get acquainted, get accustomed to the technology. And what I was thinking earlier, because there are a lot of online degrees being offered by US universities and Australian universities, and students were reluctant to join. Now students are very much interested to join the online degrees abroad also, online education abroad also. So I was thinking that maybe in coming 10 years, the student, faculty, and institution owners and administrators will incorporate online teaching as as a regular system. But now I think the pandemic has speeded the process, speeded up the process. It compelled us to uh, fully adopt this online teaching so far. So definitely, this learning and this training is going to help us a lot in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks to all the panelists, Peter, sir, Rahul, sir, and Professor Seni, sir. Sandeep, would you like to say something?
Absolutely, sir. In fact, since we keep on having these discussions every week, and we had one
Speak a bit louder, Sandeep. Speak a bit louder.
can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Better? Yeah.
better.
So
Yeah.
since we keep on having these discussions every week, and week after week, we are getting the same feedback. Teachers, whether it is school
Speak
education, higher
louder,
education,
louder, Sandeep, sir. Yeah.
whether it is school education or higher education, whether it is in India or abroad. I think the scenarios with the pandemic had been same for everyone, and in fact, you know, we had shared one session. We were talking about artificial intelligence yesterday and its implementation in K-12 and higher education segment. It was a 2 hour long session with 8-10 speakers that we had, and most of them had a similar kind of an experience at every level. We had participation from an international board. We had a participation from Amity University from Jharkhand. We had a participation from CBSE school, a school from Chennai to a school from Delhi. Had been the same problem with everyone, and I think the role of technology, we are all agreeing on it that the education technology, especially in the education space in India, had taken a leap of 15 years. It wouldn't have been possible apart from pandemic. But the only fear is, once the schools and colleges opens up, uh, will we be able to follow the same path that we are actually following currently? So that is one important aspect that we need to take for granted. Just like we forget wearing mask as soon as the lockdown is lifted, we shouldn't forget the technology that we're using as soon as the schools and colleges open for students to come back in. So it should be a it should have always been a blended approach. We have all agreed on it, and it should be a blended approach throughout, post the pandemic as well. So that those were my thoughts, and on a lighter note, even everyone I think had gone through. Anybody who has entered a sales profile had to go for this, the scavenger hunting. I passed my MBA in 2012, and I got recruited in Greenply. So Pankaj sir, I so totally believe you. At least you had a lift one way upwards. I had to carry plywoods, in an under construction building for a 12th floor. Especially in places like Kondapur, where in 2012 the upcoming buildings were there, where the infrastructure was really developing there. So that way, we are definitely on the same page, and I hope the stalwarts that everyone has reached here. Someday, maybe Universal Mentors Association, alongside with me, reaches to the same height, and we become the plethora of the esteemed speakers that we had today on the panel. Thank you so much. Without taking much time, I would like to thank all of you for joining us. It was such an amazing session. A couple of speakers couldn't join in because of some issues, some technical issues. We may have them on board on the next event as well. Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure having you all on board. Have a great day ahead. Please stay safe. The corona is not over yet. Please step out only if you have to. Please stay safe, and we wish you very best. for you as well as your family. Thank you.
Thank you, Sadiq.
Thank you.
Thank you, my
Thank you.
guys. Bye all.
Thank you.
Thank you
Bye.
so much. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandeep. Thank you, sir. Dr. Saab,
Bye, sir. Thank you, sir. Bye bye.
have a good day.
Good day, sir. Thank you.